I'm Michael Scott, and I've never been one for tears, but the day I heard Lucas Thompson's story, something cracked inside me, like a dam giving way under a flood of questions I couldn't answer. Sitting in my cluttered studio in Ho Chi Minh City, surrounded by blinking monitors and half-drunk coffee cups, I felt a betrayal I couldn't name. Not from anyone out there, but from life itself. How could a mother leave her newborn son in a hospital crib, walk away, and let the world swallow him whole? How could Lucas, a kid raised with love in France, still ache for a woman who'd abandoned him 28 years ago? And why did I, a guy who's seen every kind of story on this show, feel like this one was about to unravel me? It was late September, the kind of sticky evening where the air feels like it's clinging to your skin. My phone buzzed with a message from David Clark, a translator I'd worked with before, a guy with a knack for turning raw emotion into words that hit like a punch. "Michael," he wrote, "I've got a story that'll stop you cold." I rolled my eyes, thinking it was another pitch for a lost dog or a family feud. But when David started talking about Lucas Thompson, I froze. Lucas was 28, born April 7, 1996, in a chaotic maternity ward at Tu Du Hospital, right here in Saigon. 3 days later, his mother, Anna Nguyen, left him there, no note, no address, just a name scrawled on a hospital form. A French couple adopted him, gave him a new life as Antoine, and raised him in a world of croissants and cobblestone streets. Now, he was a restaurant manager, polished and successful, but haunted by a hole in his heart only his birth mother could fill. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above. Betrayal. That's what it felt like. Not just Anna's choice to walk away, but the way life had cheated Lucas out of answers. He'd spent years chasing ghosts, flying back to Vietnam, combing through dusty records, begging newspapers to run his story. Every dead end was a slap in the face, a reminder that the woman who gave him life might as well be a shadow. I pictured him, a kid with dark eyes and a French accent, standing in the hospital's sterile halls, asking for a mother who didn't exist in any file. It gutted me. I've hosted this show for a decade, connecting strangers, solving mysteries, but this felt personal. Like I was staring into a mirror of my own unresolved questions, about family, about why people leave. David's voice crackled through the phone, steady but urgent. "Lucas is ready to talk, Michael. He's got one shot left, and he wants it to be with you." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. I didn't know Lucas, but I knew that kind of desperation, the kind that claws at you in the middle of the night, demanding truth. I'd felt it myself, years ago, when I learned my own father had kept secrets that changed how I saw him. It wasn't the same, but it was close enough to make my chest ache. I told David to bring Lucas's story to the show, promising we'd blast it across every platform, Facebook, YouTube, X, you name it. If Anna Nguyen was out there, we'd find her, or at least give Lucas the closure he deserved. The betrayal gnawed at me as I prepped for the episode. I kept imagining Anna, a faceless woman in my mind, maybe young and scared, maybe hardened by life. Why did she do it? Poverty? Shame? Fear? Or was it something darker, something I couldn't fathom? I hated her for a moment, then hated myself for judging her. Lucas didn't know her story, and neither did I. Yet here I was, caught in a storm of anger and pity, wondering if I was betraying him by doubting his mother before we even started. My producer, Lynn, caught me pacing the studio, muttering to myself. "You okay, Michael?" she asked, eyebrow raised. I forced a grin, but my stomach churned. Just another day, right? Wrong. This wasn't just another day. This was a reckoning. I sat down to write the intro for Lucas's segment, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. How do you sum up a life defined by absence? Lucas wasn't just a guy looking for his mom, he was a man wrestling with a wound that never healed. He'd built a good life, sure. A fancy job, a fiancée named Emma who adored him, a family in France who'd given him everything. But none of it filled the void. I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, I settled on something raw. Tonight, we're not just telling a story, we're chasing a truth that's been buried for 28 years. Lucas Thompson needs your help to find his mother, Anna Nguyen. And I need it too, because this one's got me questioning everything. The show was set for October 20th, Vietnam Women's Day, a date that felt like fate. I wanted it to be more than a broadcast, I wanted it to be a beacon. Lucas deserved answers, and I was hell-bent on getting them. But as the days ticked by, doubt crept in like a thief. What if Anna didn't want to be found? What if she'd moved on, built a new life, and Lucas's search ripped it apart? Or worse, what if she was gone, and all we'd find was a grave? I pushed the thoughts away, but they lingered, heavy as the Saigon heat. I'd promised Lucas hope, but I was terrified of delivering heartbreak. David sent me a photo of Lucas, a sharp-looking guy with a quiet smile, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower with Emma. It should have made me feel better, but it didn't. That smile hit a battle I could only guess at. I kept thinking about the hospital, the moment Anna walked away. Did she look back? Did she cry? Or did she run, desperate to escape whatever demons chased her? I wanted to hate her for betraying Lucas, but I couldn't. Not fully. Because deep down, I knew life doesn't always give you clean choices. Sometimes, it traps you, forces you to choose between bad and worse. Maybe Anna's betrayal was her sacrifice, her way of giving Lucas a shot at something better. Or maybe I was just making excuses to ease my own turmoil. By the time we filmed the intro, I was a mess, caught between wanting justice for Lucas and dreading the truth we might uncover. I stood under the studio lights, my voice steady but my heart racing. "This is more than a search," I said, looking straight into the camera. "It's about a son who's never stopped loving a mother he doesn't know. Help us find Anna Nguyen. Help us heal a wound that's bled for too long." As the words left my mouth, I felt the weight of what I'd taken on. This wasn't just Lucas's story anymore, it was mine too. And I'd be damned if I let it end in betrayal. The studio lights were still buzzing in my head as I left the set, Lucas Thompson's story burning like a fever I couldn't shake. I'm Michael Scott, and I'd just promised a guy I'd never met that I'd find his mother, a woman who'd left him in a Saigon hospital 28 years ago. Walking through the humid streets, motorbikes roaring past, I felt betrayal's sting again, sharper now. Not just Anna Nguyen's choice to abandon her newborn, but the way life had strung Lucas along, dangling hope only to yank it away. And me? I was terrified I'd betray him too, feeding him dreams that might crash and burn. It started with David Clark's call a few weeks back, his voice tight with urgency. Lucas had been searching for Anna since he was old enough to ask questions. Born April 7, 1996, at Tudu Hospital, he was 3 days old when Anna walked away, leaving nothing but her name on a form. Adopted by a French couple, he grew up as Antoine, loved, educated, successful, but the hole where his mother should have been never closed. I pictured him, a teenager maybe, Googling Vietnam adoption records late at night, each click a stab in the dark. He'd flown here, stood in the hospital's crowded lobby, begged for answers. Nothing. Every door slammed shut, like the universe was mocking him. I clenched my fists, thinking of my own father's lies, secrets I'd uncovered too late. Lucas's pain wasn't mine, but it cut close. I threw myself into the search. Driven by a mix of guilt and defiance. If life had betrayed Lucas, I'd fight it tooth and nail. David sent me everything Lucas had, a grainy hospital record, Anna's name in faded ink, no birth date, no address. I posted it online, a shot in the dark, X, Facebook, every corner of the internet I could reach. "Help us find Anna Nguyen," I wrote, my heart pounding. "She's out there, and her son deserves to know why." The response was instant. Messages flooded in, tips, prayers, people offering to dig through old, but most were dead ends, and I felt the clock ticking, each day a fresh betrayal of the hope I'd given Lucas. Then, a week later, it happened. My inbox pinged with an anonymous email, no name, just a subject, 1996 list. I opened it, hands shaking, and there it was, a scanned document, yellowed and creased, listing births at 2 due, halfway down, Anna Nguyen, born 1956, address 400/30/5 Catch Mang Thang Tam, Quan 3. My pulse raced, like I'd cracked a code to a vault. When I, Michael Scott, received the old list with Anna Nguyen's name, my heart pounded, as if a 28-year secret was about to unravel, but could Lucas Thompson bear the painful truth about his mother? I called David. Barely breathing. "We've got something," I said, but doubt gnawed at me. What if this was another false lead? What if Anna's truth was uglier than Lucas could handle? I rallied the online community, sharing the address with a plea, "Anyone near Quan 3, check this out." People jumped in, strangers knocking on doors, asking neighbors, chasing whispers. I waited, refreshing my phone like a man possessed. Then, a message from a woman named Lynn, "The house belongs to someone else now. No one knows Anna." My stomach dropped. Another betrayal, this time from hope itself. I pictured Lucas's face, imagined telling him we'd failed again. But Lynn kept digging, and 2 days later, she hit gold. The original owner, Sarah, had moved to Quan 6. And Sarah knew Anna, she'd practically raised her. I met Sarah at a noisy coffee shop, the kind where old men play chess and kids sip bubble tea. She was in her 60s, eyes sharp but kind, like she'd seen too much but still believed in good. Over iced coffee, she told me Anna's story, and it broke me. Anna was born in 1956, taken in at 3 years old by Sarah's sister, Mary, during the war's chaos. Mary loved Anna like her own, but Anna wasn't like other kids, slow, quiet, struggling to keep up. She dropped out after 3rd grade, dependent on Mary and Sarah her whole life. By 1996, Mary was dying of breast cancer, and Sarah was stretched thin, caring for her sister and Anna. Then Anna got pregnant, and everything fell apart. Sarah's voice cracked as she explained. Anna, 40 and naive, had been tricked by a monk at a local temple, a man who preyed on her trust, then vanished when the temple kicked him out. I gripped my glass. Anger surging. Another betrayal, this one vile. Anna gave birth to Lucas, a healthy boy, 3 kilos, but Sarah's family couldn't cope. Mary was fading, medical bills were piling up, and Anna could barely care for herself, let alone a baby. They took Lucas to Tudu, handed him to a nun's charity for adoption, praying he'd find a better life. Sarah said Anna sobbed for days, a quiet, shattering grief. She never forgave herself, Sarah whispered. She went to Vạn Quốc Temple after that, to escape the pain. I walked away from that meeting feeling like I'd been punched. Anna wasn't a villain, she was a victim, betrayed by a man, by circumstance, by her own mind. But knowing her story didn't ease the turmoil inside me. I thought of Lucas, how he'd react to this. Would he see Anna's choice as love or abandonment? And what about me? I'd promised him answers, but these truths felt like knives, sharp enough to cut deeper than heal. I kept seeing Anna in my mind, alone in that temple, lighting incense, carrying a guilt she couldn't voice. It wasn't fair. Life had stacked the deck against her, and now I was terrified of stacking it against Lucas too. Back at the studio, I called David to update him. Sarah says Anna's at Vạn Quốc, still alive, still fragile, I said, my voice tight. We need to set up a call, but I don't know if Lucas is ready for this. David was quiet for a moment, then said, he's stronger than you think. I wasn't so sure. I lay awake that night, haunted by the image of a 3-day-old Lucas in a hospital crib, his mother's footsteps fading down the hall. Betrayal hung over this story like a storm cloud, Anna's, the monk's, even mine if I couldn't deliver. But I had Sarah's number, the temple's address, and a community ready to help. The search wasn't over. It was just beginning, and I'd be damned if I let it end in another broken promise. I couldn't sleep the night before the call, my mind a tangle of hope and dread, like a storm brewing over Saigon's neon skyline. I'm Michael Scott, and I'd spent weeks chasing Anna Nguyen's shadow for Lucas Thompson, only to find a story soaked in betrayal, hers, a monk's, life's itself. Now, on October 20th, Vietnam Women's Day, I was about to bring them face to face through a shaky video link. Sitting in Sarah's cramped living room in Quan 6, surrounded by faded photos and the hum of a ceiling fan, I felt like I was holding a live wire. One wrong move, and I could betray them both, Lucas with a truth too heavy, Anna with a past too raw. Sarah had set up a laptop on a wobbly table, the screen glowing like a portal to another world. She'd convinced Anna to leave Vạn Quốc Temple for the day, a rare trip for a woman who'd buried herself in incense and prayer for 28 years. I watched Anna shuffle in, her gray robe loose, her eyes soft but distant, like she was half in this world, half somewhere else. Sarah whispered, "She's nervous, Michael. She doesn't know what to expect." Neither did I. My stomach churned, thinking of Lucas, 6,000 miles away in France, waiting to see the mother who'd left him at Tudor Hospital. I'd promised him this moment, but what if it broke him? What if Anna's silence felt like another abandonment? David Clark's voice crackled through my phone as he prepped Lucas and his fiancée, Emma, for the call. "He's ready, but he's a wreck," David said. I nodded, though he couldn't see me, and hit the connect button. The screen flickered, and there was Lucas, sharp jawline, eyes red but steady, Emma's hand on his shoulder. I forced a smile, my voice tighter than I meant. "Lucas, Anna's here. Let's do this." Anna looked up, her face blank for a second, then softening as Lucas's image filled the screen. I held my breath, caught in a tug-of-war between joy and fear. This was it, the reunion I'd fought for, but betrayal's shadow loomed, whispering that truth might hurt more than heal. Lucas spoke first, his voice low, trembling through David's translation. "Mom, I'm so happy to see you. I just want to know you're okay." Anna's hands twitched. Reaching for the screen, her fingers brushing the glass like she could touch him. She smiled, a fragile, lopsided thing, and murmured, "You're strong. Good boy." Her words were slow, childlike, and I saw Sarah wipe her eyes. I wanted to cheer, but my chest tightened instead. Anna's mind wasn't sharp, she'd never been like other people, Sarah had said, but her love was there, raw and real. Yet I couldn't shake the thought, would Lucas feel cheated, expecting a mother who could answer his questions, only to find one who barely could? I watched Lucas's face, searching for cracks. He leaned closer to the camera, his voice steady now. "I don't blame you, Mom. I had a good life in France, parents who loved me. A job I'm proud of. I just needed to find you, to say thank you." "Thank you?" I blinked, stunned. "Thank you for what?" "For leaving him behind." My mind flashed to my own father, the secrets he'd kept, how I'd wanted to scream at him, not thank him. Lucas's forgiveness felt like a betrayal of the anger I'd been nursing for him, and it shook me. I was supposed to be the steady one, the guy steering this ship, but I was drowning in my own conflict, proud of Lucas, yet furious at how life had forced Anna's hand. Sarah filled the silence, her voice gentle but firm, translating Anna's sparse words into something deeper. "Anna was broken after you were born, Lucas. She couldn't care for you, not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. We were barely surviving, my sister Mary was dying, and Anna. She wasn't strong enough." Sarah paused, her eyes locked on Lucas's. "She went to the temple to pray for you, every day." I saw Lucas nod, his jaw tight, and Emma squeeze his hand. I wanted to believe it was enough, but doubt clawed at me. Was this closure, or just another layer of betrayal, knowing Anna loved him but couldn't keep him? Anna spoke again, unprompted, her voice a whisper. "I'm sorry." 2 words, heavy as stone. Lucas's eyes welled up, and he shook his head. "No, Mom, don't be. I'm here now." I felt my throat close, torn between awe and anguish. This was the reunion I'd dreamed of, but it wasn't clean or easy. Anna's apology carried 28 years of guilt, and Lucas's grace carried a strength I didn't know he had. Yet I couldn't stop thinking about the monk who'd betrayed Anna, the family who'd failed her, the world that let her fall through the cracks. I was angry, for her, for Lucas, for myself, because I'd wanted this moment to fix everything, and it didn't. Lucas asked about Anna's life now, and Sarah answered for her, how Anna swept the temple floors, lit incense, lived quietly with the nuns. She's found peace, Sarah said, but I wondered if peace was just a polite word for resignation. Lucas smiled, saying he wanted to visit Vạn Quốc, to see where his mom lived. Maybe we'll walk there together, he told Anna, and her face lit up, a spark I hadn't seen before. I should have been thrilled, but my heart sank. What if he came and found her too fragile to connect? What if I'd set him up for another betrayal, promising a bond that couldn't hold? Jenny, Sarah's daughter, chimed in, her voice bright but careful. Mom says Anna talks about you sometimes. Lucas, like she always knew you'd come back. I glanced at Anna, wondering if that was true or just a kind lie. Either way, it hit Lucas hard. He wiped his face, laughing through tears. I'm glad I didn't give up. I forced a nod, but inside, I was reeling. I'd wanted to be the hero, the guy who made this right, but their emotions were bigger than me, messier than my plans. Betrayal wasn't just in the past, it was in my fear that this moment, so fragile, might not be enough. As the call wound down, Lucas mentioned a DNA test, not because he doubted Anna, but to settle things for his life in France. I nodded, relieved at the practicality, but still shaken. I'd seen love conquer distance today. But I'd also seen pain that wouldn't vanish with one call. Anna's slow smile, Lucas's steady voice, they were miracles, but they didn't erase the years stolen from them. I ended the call, my hands trembling, knowing I'd witnessed something sacred, yet haunted by the betrayals that brought us here. I'd set this in motion, but could I live with what came next? The laptop screen went dark, but the weight of Lucas Thompson and Anna Nguyen's reunion clung to me like Saigon's humid air. I'm Michael Scott, and I just watched a mother and son bridge 28 years of pain through a glitchy video call, their voices echoing in Sarah's cramped Quan 6 living room. Yet, as I leaned back in my chair, the sting of betrayal hit harder than ever, not just Anna's choice to leave Lucas at Tudu Hospital, but my own nagging fear that I'd promised too much. What if this fragile hope crumbled? What if I'd led Lucas to a truth he couldn't carry? Lucas's words kept replaying in my head, his talk of a DNA test, not out of doubt, but to anchor his story for his life in France. I admired his pragmatism, but it rattled me. Here I was, caught up in their raw emotion, while he was already planning the next step. Sarah poured me a glass of iced tea, her eyes still misty from the call. He's strong, Michael, she said, as if reading my mind. I nodded, but my gut twisted. Strength didn't erase the betrayals stacked against him, Anna's abandonment, a monk's deceit, a system that let a vulnerable woman slip through. And now, I worried I'd betray him too, hyping a reunion that might not hold. I glanced at Anna, sitting quietly, her hands folded like she was praying. She'd barely spoken, but her smile during the call had lit up the room. I wanted to believe it was enough for Lucas, but doubt gnawed at me. What if he came to Vietnam expecting a hallmark moment, only to find Anna's mind too frail for deep connection? I'd seen her struggle to answer simple questions, where she lived, what she did. Sarah had filled in the blanks, explaining Anna's life at Vạn Quốc Temple, sweeping floors, lighting incense, a routine carved from 28 years of guilt and solace. I pictured Lucas standing in that temple, searching his mother's face for answers she couldn't give. The image gutted me. Lucas had asked about the temple, his voice eager through David Clark's translation. What's it like? Can I visit? Sarah answered for Anna, her tone warm but careful. It's open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., right off Catch Mang Thang Tam in Quan 3, 292/21-23. Anna's there most days, helping the nuns. Lucas grinned, saying he'd come, maybe walk with Anna under the temple's old trees. I forced a smile, but my heart sank. I wanted that for him, God, I did, but I couldn't shake the fear of another betrayal. What if Anna froze up in person? What if the DNA test, meant to confirm their bond, somehow failed? I'd pushed this story forward, but now I felt like I was balancing on a tightrope. One misstep from letting him down. Jenny, Sarah's daughter, chimed in, her voice cutting through my spiral. Mom says Anna's happier since she heard about Lucas. She'll love seeing him. I nodded, but my mind raced. Happier? Or just stirred up, like a wound reopened? I turned to Emily, the DNA expert waiting quietly in the corner. Can you walk us through the test? I asked, needing something solid to hold on to. Emily's voice was calm, clinical. We'll need nail clippings from Anna, fingers or toes, doesn't matter. Lucas can send a cheek swab from France. I'll set up a group chat to guide them. I exhaled, grateful for her steadiness, but the stakes felt crushing. This test wasn't just science, it was Lucas's last chance to claim his roots. And Anna's to redeem a choice she'd mourned for decades. I looked at Anna, her eyes fixed on a photo of Lucas we'd printed from the call. Did she understand what was coming? Sarah leaned over, whispering, "She's proud, Michael. She just can't say it." Proud. The word hit me like a punch. I'd been so wrapped up in my fear of betrayal, mine, Anna's, the world's, that I'd missed the quiet strength in her gaze. Lucas, too, had shown it, planning his trip, asking about Sarah's family, her 2 kids, 3 grandkids, like he was already weaving himself into their world. I wanted to believe in that strength, but my own past betrayal, my father's hidden lies, kept pulling me back. I'd trusted too easily once. Could I trust this moment to hold? As we wrapped up, Lucas's voice lingered in my mind, "I'll be there, Mom. Soon." I pictured him at Vạn Quốc, Anna's hand in his, the temple's incense curling around them. It was a beautiful image, but fragile, like a dream I could betray by wanting it too much. I'd set this in motion, but the future wasn't mine to control. All I could do was pray the test, and their hearts, wouldn't let them down. Anna Nguyen's trembling hand lingered on the laptop screen, her fingertips grazing the image of her son Lucas Thompson, as if she could pull him back through 28 years of loss. I'm Michael Scott, and that moment in Sarah's Quan 6 living room seared itself into me, a blaze of love and pain that left me reeling. I'd orchestrated this reunion, pushed for a DNA test, planned Lucas's temple visit, but now, as the call ended, betrayal's shadow loomed larger than ever, not just Anna's choice to leave her newborn at Tudu Hospital, but my own gnawing fear that I'd built a house of cards, ready to collapse under the weight of their hopes. I sat there, the hum of Sarah's ceiling fan filling the silence. My heart a battlefield. Lucas's voice, steady and forgiving, echoed in my head, "I'll be there, Mom. Soon." Anna's smile, fragile but radiant, haunted me. I wanted to believe in their future, Lucas at Vạn Quốc Temple, holding his mother's hand, the DNA test sealing their bond. But doubt clawed at me like a bad dream. What if the test failed? What if Anna's quiet mind couldn't give Lucas the connection he craved? I'd promised him answers, pushed this story to the edge, but now I felt like I'd betrayed him, dangling a fairy tale ending I couldn't guarantee. My own past, my father's secrets, the lies I'd swallowed, whispered that trust was a gamble, and I was terrified of losing this one. Sarah caught my eye, her face soft but resolute. "You did good, Michael," she said, handing me another iced tea. I forced a smile, but my hands shook. Good. I'd stirred up Anna's guilt, dragged Lucas across an ocean of emotion, and for what? A call that left more questions than answers. Jenny, Sarah's daughter, was tidying up, stacking cups like nothing had happened, but I saw her glance at Anna, who sat staring at Lucas's printed photo. "She's different today," Jenny whispered. Lighter. Lighter? Or just raw, exposed, like a wound torn open? I wanted to believe in that lightness, but betrayal's grip tightened, Anna's to Lucas, the monk's to Anna, and mine, if this all fell apart. I stood up, needing air, and stepped onto Sarah's balcony. Saigon's skyline glittered, motorbikes weaving like fireflies below, but it couldn't drown out my turmoil. This story wasn't just Lucas's, it was a mirror, forcing me to face my own scars. I'd spent years running from my father's betrayal, pretending it didn't shape me, but here I was, scared to death of failing Lucas the way I'd felt failed. Anna's choice back in '96, driven by poverty, shame, a mind that couldn't cope, wasn't malice, I knew that now. Sarah had painted it clearly: Anna, pregnant and alone, Mary dying, no money, no way to raise a kid. Yet knowing didn't erase the sting, didn't quiet the voice asking why life had to break them both. Back inside, I gathered my notes, Emily's DNA instructions still open on my phone. The test was a lifeline, a chance to lock in truth, but it felt like a tightrope too. I pictured Lucas in France, swabbing his cheek, mailing it off with a prayer. I imagined Anna clipping her nails, Sarah guiding her, both of them holding their breath. I wanted that test to be their victory, but fear lingered. What if it wasn't enough? What if Lucas came to Vietnam and found only fragments of a mother? I'd sold him hope, and now I was scared it was a lie, but then I thought of Lucas's strength, forgiving Anna without a hint of anger. I thought of Anna's smile, a spark of joy after decades of shadow. They'd survived betrayal, hers, the world's, and found each other. That was the real miracle, not some perfect ending I couldn't control. I took a deep breath, my resolve hardening. This wasn't about me fixing everything, it was about giving them a chance to write their own story. I'd done my part, and now it was time to trust them, trust the community that had rallied for them. I turned to Sarah, my voice steadier. Let's keep the momentum going. There's another story out there, Lily Hong, looking for her mom, Jennifer Kim On, born '67 in Long An. I'll put up 5 million dong for anyone who finds her. Sarah nodded, her eyes bright. I looked at Anna, still clutching Lucas's photo, and felt a flicker of peace. Betrayal hadn't won today. Love had. Now, I'm asking you, what do you think? Can Lucas and Anna build a future from this fragile start, or is the past too heavy? Share your thoughts, because stories like theirs remind us, even in betrayal, there's hope if we fight for it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me stay motivated to make more.